Research Skills Exploring Keywords. Grid exercise from CCS Library Services at Spokane Community College. Here's a little exercise that you can do as a pre-research exercise that may help you decide which search terms you want to use and how to combine several search concepts together. So I've decided that this is roughly the topic that I want to start researching. As individuals and as a society, people need music in order to experience a quality life, however we define this concept. So that's what I'm going to start exploring for my research topic, and later I might change that topic or change the wording of it depending on what information I find, but this is what I'm going to start with. So step one is deciding what the core concepts are in my research question, and I've decided that music and a quality life are the most important concepts in my research. So I'm going to go ahead and type them in here on my grid. So I definitely want to find research or other information that is about music and about a quality life, however we define that, whatever it's called. And the reason why I'm doing this pre-research exercise is because when I actually go into library databases or into Google Scholar or other kinds of search engines, the language that the search engine or the database uses might be different than the language that I'm thinking of. So I'll want to explore other terms that I might use as alternate search terms, and then later we'll combine those in different ways. So first we're just going to explore synonyms to these two concepts. Now I might have a research question that has 3 main concepts or 4 or more, but for this question, I'd be pretty happy if I found research about music and it told me about the quality of life, whether it improves or it doesn't improve quality of life if people are involved in music. So I'm going to stick with just 2 concepts for now. So what we want to do now is explore alternate terms, alternate words that we can use in our searching. So other than music, some synonyms, a broader topic would be the humanities. If I found research articles, for example, about the humanities and quality of life, that would probably be useful for my research. Maybe I'm interested in looking at research that talks about people who learn music or take music lessons and whether that improves the quality of their life or not. So maybe music education is something that I want to use as a search term. And remember, when you're searching in a library database or on a search engine for a phrase, so a string of words, go ahead and enclose it in quotation marks. You don't need to use the quotes for a single word, but for a string of words like music education, what we'll call a phrase for searching purposes, enclose that in quotes. Maybe I'm interested in finding research about people who perform music and whether they're happier than people who don't, so maybe music performance and quality of life is a search that I might want to do. And I might want to use narrower terms too. As I was looking at this topic, I noticed that there was a lot of research about people who play the violin. So I might just want to focus on violin players or violin music and whether that contributes to quality of life. So those are some examples of alternate terms that I can use instead of music or in addition to music when I'm doing my searching. So let's do the same thing for quality of life. Maybe if I found articles about music and happiness and the relationship between those concepts, that would probably be good. Maybe by quality of life we mean health. Maybe I can find research that talks about music's influence on our health, our physical health, or our mental health, and that's a phrase, so we want to enclose it in quotation marks. And then there is a concept just generally called quality of life. So I might be able to find articles about music and quality of life, or music education and quality of life, or violin playing and quality of life, so we'll see. Now that we have some search terms here to play with, I want to introduce another concept, and that concept is combining search terms together. And we combine search terms using what we call Boolean operators. They're named after a guy named Boole who first discovered them. But that's not the important part. The important part is how they function. There are only 3 Boolean operators that we use in searching, so that's nice. There's only 3. We use and, or, and not. And the one we use most often is and. And is a way of combining several concepts together. So, here's how we would use those. If we were searching in a database, like our library's ProQuest database, or Academic Search Complete, or if I was on Google Scholar, I would want to type in a search string that described the research, or the articles, or the books, or whatever it is that I'm looking for. So, in this case, I might want to try as my first search a search for music education and quality of life. Maybe those are the concepts that I'm mainly interested in. So I could go into my library database and type this. Music education and quality of life. So notice how I've used that Boolean operator and the result of that search, if I search an article database, is going to be articles that have the phrase music education and the phrase quality of life. Now, if I was getting a lot of articles about this topic and they were talking about research in Spain, and I wanted to eliminate any article that mentioned the word Spain, I could add this to my search, not Spain, and that would remove any articles that had the word Spain in them. We don't use not very often. You use it mostly if you're getting a lot of occurrences of something and you want to eliminate them. Mostly we use the combining term and when we're searching. Now when I tried this search in our article database, Academic Search Complete, I found that there were a lot of articles about children, there were a lot of articles about senior citizens, so that made me think of something I hadn't thought of originally, a third concept that I could add, children. So I could look for articles about music education and quality of life and children, or adults, or senior citizens, or whatever I chose. There's one more search trick you can use only in library databases, and it's called truncation. If I wanted to make sure that I got all different forms of the word children, so maybe the article had the word child, or childs, or children, or some different form of that word, I could use what's called truncation. So after my search term, I would add an asterisk with no space, and typing this in, child asterisk, will make sure that all the articles that have any word that starts with that spelling will be retrieved in my search. So I'll get articles that have the phrase music education, the phrase quality of life, and any form of the word child. So child, childs, children, children's, anything that starts with that spelling. And just to prove to you that this actually is going to get me some results, here I am in Academic Search Complete, one of Spokane Community College Library's databases, and I'm going to search for articles about music education, and it puts the and in there for me, and quality of life, and I also want articles with any form of the word child in it, so child asterisk. I'll use an asterisk as a wild card, or it's also called a truncation marker. So I get 254 articles. They're in relevance order. The first one is the long-term effects of childhood music instruction on intelligence and general cognitive abilities. So I definitely want to look at that article. It's very recent. It's from 2015. It's from a periodical called Music Education. And notice that there are some search terms here that I hadn't thought of. Instead of typing in music education, I might want to use the terms music instruction. And instead of quality of life, I might decide that I want to focus on intelligence or cognitive abilities or cognition. And in fact, when you find articles in our databases that are useful to you, let me make this a little bigger. Look at the search terms that the database uses. Databases use what they call controlled vocabulary. So they have subject terms that they use. They've decided that this topic is called music, instruction and study, research. So in fact you can click on that subject term and get all the articles in this database, Academic Search Complete, that are categorized under that topic. People who work for the database read all the articles that go into the database, and they categorize them under this controlled vocabulary, under these subject terms. So that's another tool you can use in your research process.